How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Well, how about that Marilyn Manson, huh?
Oh, fuck, man. This is tough because I don't know. I can't speak for John Mark, but I've been really torn on this because as of late, I've really been digging like the new Manson stuff, and it's difficult for me to separate the artist from the art.
Well, we talked about this a little bit. By the way, Holly and I just started a new show called The Holly and Ron Show, and by the time this one comes up, you can find that on, should be all the usual places. I know there is a delay sometimes with that first episode, but keep checking on that. And that one's going to be available for video as well. But we were talking about this, and it's one of those things where it's like if we're being honest about all of the things that we have in our home, whether that's music, video games, movies, nobody has what we would consider an immaculate collection. And I think if you're going to go try to dive into, you know what I mean? Like sort out your collection or your listening and viewing habits based on ethics. I think that most of us aren't going to be satisfied with what we... now, that doesn't mean you have to support Marilyn Manson when he comes into town. You know, maybe you just don't go to those shows anymore, and maybe you don't wear the T-shirts and you don't... You know, it's a different thing. Or maybe you quit. Maybe you do quit. I'm sure a lot of people straight up, if they had physical albums, they tossed them, and, you know, that's their stance. But this notion, I think we do a lot of this as a society. We tend to, there's always some latest thing that we should all be bothered by. And understand, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be bothered by this. I'm not trying to downplay these accusations at all. That's not my intent. But there's always something current, and then we forget about it. But there seems to be quite a bit of piling on and pressure. Like if you have one of these records in your collection, then please unfriend me, that kind of thing. And that's when I think it's important to really step back and ask yourself how immaculate your collection really is. How do you honestly think that you don't have records or movies or books, for God's sake, in your collection that are tainted with the doings or the beliefs or the politics of the people who created them? And, you know, there's a lot of other people involved too. So when you boycott something, you're boycotting everybody that was involved. And do those people deserve to, you know, to go hungry because now they're not getting those royalties? It's a complicated thing. I don't think it's as simple as a lot of people try to make it sound, at least on social media. You know, I think that's a bit of grandstanding, if I'm being terribly honest.
You know, I think also in this particular case, like when the stuff comes out about Michael Jackson, I was like, fuck, that shocks me. I listen to his music and I have a really hard time imagining him doing those things. I'm like, what the fuck? But I kind of always just suspected Marilyn Manson was trash to women. I mean, like, did anyone think he was a good person? Like a good person?
I guess I don't really think about my artists in that kind of light very often, but I don't
never
know.
thought so. I never really thought so. I always thought the same thing that you did to a certain extent. But
yeah, so like I listen now and I'm finding myself. I did go back and give that album a spin again after all this, and I find myself like, well, he's a piece of shit, but I do like this album. I don't know what to say. You know?
Well,
honestly though, like if you listen to the lyrics of that song, "We Are Chaos," like. He's right on with that, you know, like we are fucked up and complicated, you know, and everybody is like that to one extent or another. You know what I mean? It just depends on like some people go farther in one direction than other people do. You know what I mean? But I think like most people have some things that they've done that they aren't proud of or regret or got caught up in, or, you know what I mean? It's just like, you can't.
But I don't think any of us on the show can say that we got caught up in abuse and sexual assault for a while.
No, but this was what comes back to separating art from artist. You know what I mean?
Right. 100%.
but you don't have to do it. Like, you don't have to do it right now. And like, maybe you'll struggle with it, maybe like, I think I like this, but like, I don't, do I want to like this anymore? I don't, you know what I mean? It's like,
what's the reality?
This person.
It's the reality of humanity. And it's gross and it's disappointing. We've been disappointed a lot of late because shit's hitting the fan of late. A lot of people have gotten away with some pretty terrible things. The gig's up in a lot of ways. There's a lot of work to be done, of course, but exposure. We're living in a day and age of mass exposure, and we're not liking. It's like peeling back, what's under the kitchen rug that you you haven't checked under in a while. What's growing under there? It's not pleasant, but it's an interesting sort of side discussion to have. Are we bad people for listening to the music of bad people?
I don't.
Are we supporting rape by listening to bad people?
There's a separation between music and artists and stuff like that. When I was a kid growing up, I used to love. There's certain bands I fucking loved, like Twisted Sister. Fucking loved them.
Mm-hmm.
If I would ever seen a picture of them, like on their number one, first album,
mm-hmm.
I probably would have threw it away and never listened to them again. Just being weird.
You just didn't like their look.
Like look, I didn't like the look, and music, it wraps that whole infliction hugely. The first time I heard Slipknot, I thought, my God, this fucking band is amazing. If they didn't look like a bunch of weirdos, in fucking jumpsuits, jumping around being weird, but they were fucking so good. They just locked you in. You know what I mean?
Didn't someone from Slipknot just get canned for rape? Am I wrong about that? I could be wrong about that. I shouldn't just pull shit like that out.
I'm not too.
Might be making that up.
I guess informed with the whole situation with Marilyn Manson. When I think of Marilyn Manson, I think about the rumors of him being on the TV show in the 80s. You know what I mean? The kid from the younger.
That was always the rumor. It's a good rumor.
And then him getting his fucking ribs taken out so he could suck his own dick.
It really does look like it could be him, though. You know what I mean? Like,
well, certainly when he was in makeup. We didn't see Marilyn Manson without makeup back in the day. We didn't have the internet like we do now, where you could see. You could, of course. Then once you saw actual childhood pictures of Marilyn Manson, there was a difference, but not a huge difference. I looked it up, by the way. I just wanted to make sure that I needed to clarify. I'm not seeing any connection with rape and Slipknot. So sorry I brought that up. Go ahead, Locke.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying that, it was a different time. Obviously, with the music industry, is a dirty fucking place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in the 80s and the 90s, it was extremely fucking dirty. A lot of shit happened, especially in the
fucking 80s
of the
I mean, rock music in general is
it's bad
coming together place of fucking dirtbags and scum.
Well, it used to be the thing. That used to be like Motley Crue was the enviable dirtbag band. It wasn't thought that they were douchebags. They were like rock stars. That's what you did. You fucked all the chicks and you sang about fucking all the chicks and you just lived that dirtbag lifestyle. But that's part of what we're talking about too, that sea change with that, we don't see the Marlboro Man on billboards anymore. And we don't look at our musicians, more and more they look like more like Paul from the Wonder Years than, Vince Neil and Tommy Lee. But
I mean, like, if you just inherently weirdos are attracted to making like rock music, it seems like, you know what I mean? It's
mm-hmm.
like if you go to shows a lot and you not necessarily meet people in bands, but you're around them and you see how they act and interact and like just how they look and how they carry themselves, you're like, oh, this is probably why I'm not a successful musician or took it to that level, because there's just something, a lot of those people have something different about them. You know what I mean? There's like some quality that they have that they just can commit to that lifestyle. And I'm like, oh, I guess I don't really have that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because think about all the people we know that used to be like into bands or in bands back in the day, and that was like their whole life and what they're going to do. most of us, figured out, oh, now I got to go get a real job because we can't all be rock stars. Some of them kind of became rock stars and they at least lived some aspect of that dream. And then there's the ones that they never did either, but they're just still kind of like dressing the same way. They still look the same way, but they're more leathered. They're more grizzled. And they just haven't been able to let go of the dream. Those are the real ones that just, they can't function outside of the dirtbag ring, I suppose. Not that they're necessarily all terrible people, but we all know those people, right? That they never could. Like, I remember growing up and seeing people from my parents' generation, and my parents would say, God, that kid just never got out of high school, did he, in his head? And he'd still be wearing the ripped Led Zepp shirt and the bell bottoms and still kidding himself that he had hair and hairspraying, where he used to have bangs. Now he has a bang, but he's hairspraying the bang and teasing it. He's getting his mileage out of that bang. Yep. Gold chain, hairy chest. He just never got out of the 70s. Well, I see people all the time now that never got out of the late 80s and never got out of the 90s that I run into. I'm like, wow, that's one of those guys. Just one of those dudes who is still probably dropping doobies on his lap like the Big Lebowski and like half driving off his 87 Datsun as he tries to put it out. It's like,
how weird would
still
it be
exist.
How weird would it be if the 80s, like females 80s hairstyles came back with like the whole fucking can of hairspray where it was all the way up, 2 feet.
I've given up on saying, oh, that'll never come back, because every time I do, like, it's still kind of a trend for mom jeans. It's faded, but the fact that ever came back at all for 5 minutes, even as a joke, I never would have foreseen.
There's a lot of shit that comes back, but let me ask you, this sparked an interesting question in my brain. What year do you think you're stuck in?
I don't feel stuck. Like,
you don't feel like you hit a year and you were like, God, I do. I think like 2005. It was like, I don't know why. Like, I just feel like everything was changing around then, and I don't know.
Well, that is an interesting question. I don't know. I don't feel stuck. I look back 10 years ago and my life looked completely different than what it became. And then 10 years from that to 10 years prior looked completely different. It's hard for me to not associate the different marriages and, going from just a slacker laying around in an apartment in my early 20s in the 90s thinking, why doesn't Sub Pop call me and sign me, man? Haven't they heard my music? My music is pure. Like, I was one of those guys where I just sat around and was like, how come nothing cool ever happens to me? And then I didn't get stuck in the 90s, because the 90s, even though I look back on the 90s mostly with fondness, I could point out a million terrible things about it, but I feel worse about the 2000s. Like, from 2000 to 2010 was a rough spell for the roster in a lot of ways. And
God, I'm just trying to remember, like, I caught you on the tail end of that.
Yeah.
It's about,
yeah. And then from 2010 to 2020 was just a complete different experience. Like, it's so bizarre to me looking back. So I don't feel stuck one way or the other, but that doesn't mean that I won't be at some point.
Maybe you just don't know yet.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
Maybe you're fucked. Maybe it's 2020 you're stuck in, bitch.
Well, maybe these guys don't know it. Maybe, Captain Bang and the gold chest guy doesn't know. Maybe he's just like, man, I'm just keep rocking and rolling.
Totally.
Just rocking and rolling 24/7.
Yeah, to answer that, I think I would say that I'd be probably like late 90s. I still listen to a lot of that.
I was
music.
wondering.
Like Rage Against the Machines. I still
your music taste.
Oh, musically, sure. I'm stuck in the 90s to some degree.
I mean, like, no, but my question was more broadly, not just your music taste, but I think your music taste plays a big part.
Fashion-wise,
sure.
I've definitely changed. I'm not still wearing flannel and ski hats all day long. I do have some in my collection, but that's given way. So I don't know. I feel like I've changed quite a bit and continue to change. I go through phases more than anything.
What about you, John Mark?
I don't know. I don't know if I can put a year to it, because how I like to dress when I'm not being a corporate stooge is just your like basic rock dirtbag.
Yeah, John Mark does kind of seem more frozen in time to me.
Band T-shirts and denim jacket full of patches.
Yeah,
it's like basketball. Yeah, remember we used to just get fucked up playing Nintendo.
I just like to dress like some kind of rock guy.
I feel it's kind of like having a special.
But that style to me is sort of timeless. It's just like.
Yeah, it's just jeans and a t-shirt, right?
It kind of started when, I don't know, in the 70s, and it's just kind of continued on through many different musical genres. It's just, the bands may change and stuff, but that sort of like look has just sort of like continued on and hasn't really gone away. And that's just what I like. I like how it looks visually, and I like wearing that stuff. So I don't know. I'll probably be stuck like that for the rest of my life.
Probably. You've had a hell of a run with it.
Yeah, I never really got any forward, dude. Past the 90s, it's like, the 2000s were, whatever. But I don't, I'm pretty much the same person I was when you knew me when we were kids.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Go ahead.
But I do have to say that as far as my musical tastes go, like it has been constant. I mean, I have like one kind of basic, like I like harsh, heavy
gizzard.
Shit for the
just
most
all
part.
Gizzard all the time.
All Gizzard.
Well,
all the
that's
time.
one of the newer things.
All Gizzard, all the wizard.
But like I started out like, what is it that I like, and I just sort of gravitated sort of towards like harder and harder rock, and then when I heard Iron Maiden, I was like, oh, that's it. That's the sound I've been looking for.
It feels good. It feels good to play.
And then thrash, and then then I like branched out and like Skinny Puppy and like stuff like Christian Death and goth stuff, and and then I discovered of course the Nirvana came around, and the punk rock, and then black metal, and that's one of my favorite.
Nirvana was a big sea change for a lot of us, and that was a big sea change for the world. Like that was that wasn't the only thing that really did away with heavy metal for a little while. At least the overblown giant shows and theatrics, that all did go away for a while, and it only really came back on as part of a nostalgia thing, and it took a while for that to come back. But for a bit, it changed everybody, and it was like, it did sort of make a lot of that seem sillier than it seemed originally. It was like a real life Spinal Tap awakening. It was like, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous, but it was fun when it came back too.
Well, it was crazy because like some bands, like I think we discussed it before. I think it was Skid Row in their Slave to the Grind or whatever. When they did that tour, they literally went broke. Sebastian Bach came out of that owing money.
Yeah. And they were one of the biggest bands of the late 80s anyway.
Dude. They were touring with Guns N' Roses.
They were everywhere.
Huge.
Yeah.
And they just blew it because they were trying to do this giant, on stage presence. I know we were blessed, thank God, to have, Queensryche in Seattle and like Operation Mindcrime, man.
That's still one of my favorite albums of all time. I know John Mark's a fan.
Yeah. They did
that album anyway.
They redid it again as more of a theatrical piece where it was what am I thinking, what's his name?
Jeff
Tate and a female singer, and they were like on opposite sides of the stage as they're playing out these scenes from the album, and it was just awesome. You can actually see that on YouTube.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, be curious to see how his pipes hold up.
But I guess what I was saying is that like some people like kind of like stop, like you were saying, get stuck in time, and they don't ever start. They don't keep exploring things, or like, well, this is what I like, Like I have like my comfort stuff from back in the past, But like I'm continually like looking for the next thing. Like, oh, what's this? Is there a new band? And that's how I found King Gizzard. Like, oh, this is new. What is this? And then like that's like. And I get totally stuck on that for a while, and I still love them, and they're one of my most like favorite current bands.
Yeah.
But I still find new stuff, that I have that's like I'm still exploring, and even going back to old genres like black metal now, and like listening to some newer bands and going back to some of the older bands I never listened to before. I'm like, how come I never listened to Mayhem? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, how come
that's
I never
the thing
listened to this?
I don't think you can really appreciate your old school shit forever unless you are dabbling into new stuff. For one, it just gives you a break. I mean, going back to Nirvana, I put on Nevermind like literally last week for the first time, and I don't know how long, like to just sit down and listen to it, because that album is just one of those albums, like, do I ever need to actually play this album again ever? Because I played it so fucking much.
And the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. It felt good to put it. It took me right back to, that was back in the day when Lyle and I was hanging out quite a bit. We would just play Nintendo and you'd have 9 tapes. Be like, all right, what's up next? You put in Nirvana, and it was like all we fucking played for a long time.
I don't straight up play a lot of albums any longer. I tend to just rotate through a playlist of liked songs.
It's really interesting how so many people I know don't really do albums.
Well, and
I'm an
I
album
find
guy.
See, now when I sit down and like work and I want to listen to something, I may play an album. And I'm always surprised at how much I miss the anticipation of knowing the upcoming track. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I miss that. Like it's a special feeling that I think you forget about.
It's a flow, and the art of arranging the order of your album is probably one of the most underrated parts of creating an album. Is you can't just throw the songs out there. You have to, especially back in the day where you had sides. You had to really think about how you ending side one. That's a key song. How are you going out? And then the first songs on both sides, very key. And then ending, those are really key decisions. Yeah, how many minutes? You were limited with vinyl. What 48 minutes, 43 minutes, something like that. It's shorter.
That brings up an interesting thing.
20-minute silence.
Yeah, their one side would be longer than the other. Go ahead, Jamar.
That brings up an interesting thing about something I just recently learned about. There's a King Gizzard album they put out in 2017 called Murder of the Universe. Mm-hmm. And one of their, like, I wouldn't call it a hit song, but it's like one of their, big, like one of the songs they play live a lot at times, called Lord of Lightning. Apparently that song, I have it on vinyl. I haven't listened to it on vinyl yet, but I just learned the other day that song fades out halfway through and then fades in again on side B. To flip the record to listen to the rest of the song. And people were like, I was reading some people like discussing that and how some people were like totally annoyed by that and stuff. And it's like, why didn't they just make it a double album, or you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, why did they do, you know what I mean? They must've had a reason for doing that at the time, but there's just like weird things like that come up. You're like, oh yeah, you're kind of limited. You are limited. It's a mechanical
thing. You have,
it's like a weird choice you have to make, It's like
the digital world is endless to some degree. So they had to do that with the Sleep album. I got the double Sleep record. What is that one called? Does it have a name?
Dope Smoker?
Oh yeah, Dope Smoker. Yeah. And it, of course they have to do it. It's like one long song.
It's like 60, 70 minutes, like basically one song, right?
But it's really smart how they did it. They found the cuts, even if they, had to master it in a certain way, because you can slow down or speed up the groove. Well, you can't slow down or speed them up, but you can cut them smaller and closer together or wider to pace the record. You can do all that. But again, this goes back to mechanics, and it's a fascinating, and only in recent times, truly appreciated, because back in the day you just put a record on. Now this fetish for vinyl and the tangible things in general has made you think about it a bit more. It's like, well, how the fuck, this is magnetic tape spinning around. How the fuck is this playing anything? Like we understand zeros and ones better than we understand something that we can hold in our hand. And it's like, how is something that's cut into something giving me music? It still blows my mind. I know how it works on paper, but it still seems like magic to me, where digital just seems like, oh yeah, that's digital. And it's the same way with movies. One of my favorite things about that movie Moon, Sam Rockwell, it was made by David Bowie's son. That used, of course it had lots of CGI, but it also had lots of practical models, and you can just tell. And there's something special about that when you do that well, there's something just real and tangible about it, as opposed to, and then you really do think of the magic and the craft that goes into it. And I know there's a ton of magic. I do digital shit all the time. I realize that it's a massive amount of work, and it's pushing buttons, but it's not a push button industry, if that makes sense. There's a lot of work and a lot of talent that goes into what they do. But at the same time, I look at it and it's like, yeah, I get it. It's digital. Next. We don't do that with mechanical things like we used to. We just took everything for granted when you put something in and it went clunk. And I was just talking to somebody about this where, you have your tapes, especially cassette tapes, because they're frail to, spilling your beer on it. And then all of a sudden your copy of Nevermind, when it comes to Polly, there's a little bit like Polly wants a... And when you hear a version that's not that, you're like, oh yeah, I'm not listening to my tape. Like you learn your own little tape warbles. It's sort of like a little diary of your life. Or sometimes, I know you've all experienced that. Well, maybe not Chris, but Lyle and John Mark certainly would have, when the tape actually breaks and you have to get the Scotch tape out and do surgery. and then it'll play. If you do it right, it'll play. There'll be a little garbage for a second, but then it'll go on to the next part of the tape. And it's, we used to have to fix a tape like you would fix a flat fucking tire because it's a piece of mechanical engineering. But before we move on from
the
that,
tape gets all the ribbon gets all flubbed up in the spools, and you got to get the pencil out and do like the little spool
pencil
dance to make.
Got to snug up your reels. But these kids today that come with their pre-snugged reels. But before we get moving on from the idea of people being stuck in the 80s, it reminded me of this dude that came in a couple of times to Boost Mobile. I don't know if you remember this, John. It's burned into my brain. Not because of the guy, but because of your hilarious reaction of being mortified and just disturbed. But this dude came in and he was like the classic guy. I just described him. Hairspray, bang, open, I think that's a lady's jacket. Batted shoulders, no shirt on underneath it, vest, or the buttons are unbuttoned. He walks in and he's just like trying to get like a $3 phone. One of these dudes. I'm currently between vans, so I'm trying to save my pennies. But then he's talking about rock, and he saw something on John Mark's desk. And then he said something that I'll never forget. He was like, well, I don't got much money, but as long as I have a never-ending amount of orgasms, then life is good. Am I right?
Hey, man.
I'll never forget John Mark's face. It was like, that's right. It was like the most awkward agreement in the history of probably John Mark's life. And he's just like, that's right. Just get the fuck out of here. It was the face. But he's like, yeah, he's agreeing with this strange man about orgasms.
Do you remember that, John Mark?
Always burned in my brain.
Don't know if I remember that. Is that the same guy that had like gave me his phone and had all these weird porn pictures on him that he was like trying to show me?
No, that was me.
I don't remember that. I just remember him. I don't think he had a phone that took pictures. He probably didn't have girls to take pictures of.
There was somebody that brought his phone in and he was like, oh, there's a problem with it. He's like, here, take a look. And he like opens it up and there's this like it's just nasty pictures there. I'm just like, yeah. You wanted me to see that, didn't you? You fuck. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. One more thing concerning age. My dad just turned 65, and I had this weird realization. We had like a little bonfire, social distance. First time I've actually been with my family since the shutdown. It was nice and weird, but I was just standing there, the crackling fire, looking up at the night sky, and I was like, wait a minute. 20 years ago was 9/11. I mean, almost. It'll be this year, 20 years. And I was thinking, God, when 9/11 happened, my dad was the same age that I am right now. And he just turned 65. And I'm like, that's how fast this shit happens. It's crazy. Yeah, enjoy your youth, kids, because now life is basically waking up and hearing my eyeballs open. Taking a couple of steps. The first steps of the day are like, okay, you're okay. You're fine. It happens, kids, and I've taken pretty good care of myself. These last years, I've quadrupled my drinking and haven't been biking as much as I should, but I still, I've gained like 20 pounds, but by American standards, I'm still I'm not even technically overweight. I just look
You were
fat
skinny to begin with.
compared to where I was. And it's just, it all goes downhill, man. And I just look at my face in the mirror and I'm like, well, whatever looks I had, I suppose I had them when I needed them.
well, here's the question: how do you guys feel? If I were to guess, like on how I feel, even though all the shit that I'm going through, I still feel like I'm like in my early 30s.
Well, mentally, I feel closer to my 30s. Yeah, I would say not a lot has changed. But physically, oh God, if I could.
You don't have to tell me.
If I could transform, really. If I could transform or magically just zoom back into 30-year-old Ronnie's body, I bet it would feel fantastic. And can you imagine like slipping into, I should be careful with my wording, going back to your 15-year-old body. It would feel like you were a superhero. It's like nothing aches. Like I just feel alive.
Oh yeah, you could wreck your pedal bike and do a couple cartwheels and fucking
still
back
have energy to pop a wheelie.
Jump right back on it. Rubber spine, they used to call you.
Classic shit. Well, before we get on to my, I didn't want to get too heavy tonight, but I felt that it was important to bring you some fun fart facts that I came across. And I think you are going to enjoy these. Some of these are not necessarily new stuff, but maybe better explained. And some of them I didn't know. And ending with something that I think you will all enjoy. But before we get to that, any news or life lessons y'all want to share? Now's the time.
1 second.
And that's a fact.
Let's see here. I just thought I'd bring you some interesting facts. They're not necessarily tabloid things, but
hang on. Chris and I were dialing in some audio issues before, and now I'm just now looking at the photo he sent. Chris, I think you're at a pretty decent, you might try the circle at some point, but you sound good now, so don't mess with the pattern. I'm more concerned about what's going on top of the mic. What is that hair?
Extra beard hair.
Chris, you there?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I noticed that too. I said that when I sent that over. I was like, ooh. I didn't see it till the photo, but I swung my mic over, and I think my fluffy white cat rubs past one spot.
Oh, that makes sense. So I was like, because I can't. Are you losing hair? Because that's a lot of hair. Yeah, that does look like cat.
And yes, I am. No, I'm not losing hair, but fuck, I'm going gray. I am going gray, guys.
Oh, no worries about that.
Well,
the ladies
not really.
love that.
I'm just starting to get the gray hair, and I don't know how I feel about it.
It's just in your beard or up in your head?
Yes.
Both?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, I
think, and then the sides.
I noticed. I caught my my chest hair in the sun the other day in the mirror, and I noticed a couple of whites, like pew pew, and I'm like, oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Some might, God bless him, but he's passed now. But my uncle, something he used to say when we were growing up, he goes, "You know what? You're not old until your pubes start turning gray," and I think he had a point.
Oh yeah, that's got to be old as sin. Well, Lyle, your mom went gray, like in her teens, right? Or 20s?
No. She was 16, I think.
16. Just pure gray. Well, Chris, I only this last year or two started seeing some gray in my beard. Of course, I don't have any hair on top. I'm sure that it would be starting to gray there. When I let it grow in a little bit and get the fuzz where it does grow, the horseshoe effect going on in the back there. It's still almost black, and my sideburns are dark, so I don't have any white or grays there. But yeah, starting in my chin. But you'll look fine. It's survival. That's all it is. It's you've done well. You've made it, and you're continuing to make it. I've never really struggled with the idea of aging, except when I was losing my hair. But I was in my early 20s when that happened, and that was just vanity more than the idea of aging. But
one of these days, we're gonna have to do a bet, and if you lose, it's something I want to see. Is you have to grow your hair out for 1 year, and
or you guys have to shave it.
And at the end of it all, you have to dye it yellow and be like Hulk Hogan.
If you saw me, that's about what it would be.
Brother.
That's pretty close. Oh God, that's kind of exactly how it would grow, because that's how my dad's hair grows.
I've never not known I needed something so badly in my life.
Right?
You need a brother, Ron.
Oh my God, I just got to see that hair on you.
Oh God, here comes Chris's next Photoshop project. But
I was already thinking about it. Yeah.
It's so hilarious. That is exactly how it would grow back in. The world's cruelest mullet. Mm-hmm. Okay, John Mark, go ahead.
Well, it was a good week for fleecing the gullible after Oklahoma lawmaker Justin Humphrey proposed creating a Bigfoot hunting season as a revenue creator, complete with permits, fees, and a $25,000 reward for anyone who manages to trap a live Bigfoot.
Nice.
This is just publicity. I mean,
I'm familiar about that. Yeah, I think I heard that.
I think it was like a publicity thing, but I think that he really wanted to try to like get people's money for this kind of shenanigans.
No.
Like fucking. And it was a bad week for mistaken identity after a middle-aged woman in Mexico stabbed her husband after finding photos of him having sex with a younger woman on his cell phone. The images were actually photos of the husband and wife from decades ago that he had uploaded.
Oh, no. That's amazing. Did he die?
Doesn't say. I don't think so, but
but honey, Kay. Look,
it's like jerking off to him. She's like, "You motherfucker! How dare you?" He's like, "I love you,
but it's us."
Boy, we're fragile people, man. We think first, or we act first, think later. I've been watching a whole shitload of Dateline NBCs, man, and money, sure, revenge, yeah, but more than anything, what drives people is just this jealous rage of thinking that your loved one is with somebody else. And all these things. It's like such a powerful thing that they've actually written it into the law books. A killing of passion, they calls it. And it changes it. If the judge and jury goes along with that, then it changes first-degree murder to voluntary manslaughter in many cases, which is like life in prison versus 9 years. It's a big diff. You can get away with quite a bit if it's in the moment of passion.
Crimes of passion.
Even though you can say it's not premeditated. I mean, it's not purposeful murder in a lot of these cases. But, yeah.
Temporary insanity.
Take a second look. Just take a second closer look at those photos before you go stabbing your husband. Good God.
A French woman has been fighting for 3 years to prove she is alive after being mistakenly declared dead by a judge. Jean Pouchon, 58, can't drive, work, use a bank, or get insurance because she was declared dead in a 2017 court case. Wow. She hasn't been able to reverse that ruling despite appearing before numerous judges with a certificate from her doctor stating that she is, in fact, alive. I no longer exist, Pouchon says. I don't do anything. Her lawyer is still fighting to get a court to reverse the original ruling, but says, when an error is so enormous, it's hard to admit.
Wow.
You'll be stone dead in a moment. You say, nod somebody to go club her over the head. Next. So was she like missing or something for a long time and they just declared her dead?
It doesn't say.
Doesn't say that.
I'm imagining it was like an error on a death certificate or something like that, just like put the wrong name on there or something.
And then sometimes the ridiculousness of the legal system is made all too apparent.
Well, they've made films about that, and that's it. It'd be horrible because if you think about it, you wouldn't own anything, and therefore you wouldn't be able to like collect any like Social Security or anything because you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mm-hmm. You get pulled over.
It's a two-edged sword.
It's stolen because it doesn't belong to you.
Your debts are erased, so that'd be great.
Well, that'd be cool.
It'd only work if you had someone to be your sugar daddy.
But like she's saying, like if you go try to get a job, you apply for a job, and they look you up and they do minimum research, security clearance and stuff that background checks that people do these days. Be like, oh,
yeah, you can't
that person's dead.
You can't have a credit card. You can't drive a car. You can't do anything.
Oh, she's trying
you can't exist.
Nope. Sorry.
That's interesting. That is an interesting conundrum. That'd make a good documentary. Someone should be following her around, filming them shits. I bet they are.
Yep.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to. I sent Ron a little trailer that dropped. I think it was today or yesterday. Netflix did a Radium Girls. I don't know if it's going to be a show or it's a. I think it's more likely a movie.
Yeah.
But the trailer is like 2 minutes 34 seconds long. It looks good too. Did you actually get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, it does look good. Period piece, obviously. But for those of you not in the know, we did a show on the Radium Girls, and it was, I guess, the encapsulated version. Well, Chris, you might have it more in your head if you brought it.
I can't remember what year it was, like 1920-ish, 2030?
Early atomic age, yeah. Must have been 30s or 40s.
And a group of women were working in a watch factory or something to that effect? And they were painting. Yeah,
they're making quite a few things. Clocks, furniture at one point even,
But they were using like a lead paint or something like that. Is that right?
To glow in the dark. Well, it was, I'm not sure if it was lead or not, but it was definitely radioactive. Uranium.
Yeah.
Or,
well,
radium.
Yeah.
But it glowed in the dark. But the big thing was that they would paint with it. And of course you would just be around radioactive paint by using the paint. But one of the, they were painting these very finely detailed little dials and switches and hands for clocks and etc. So they would use very fine tip paintbrushes, and often they would dip it in the paint and then paint a little bit on and then put it in their mouth and give it a little twist to keep that point fine. Every time they did that, they were poisoning themselves with radium. And it was a huge lawsuit to even get recognized that this is why so many of these women were getting horribly sick and eventually dying. And to this day, you can visit the graves of the Radium Girls that did die with a Geiger counter, and it'll ping when you stand over it, which is eerie as fuck.
Yeah. Well, think about it, like teeth decay and stuff.
Yeah. So it's going to not be a fun watch, but it'll be a fascinating watch. And I guess ultimately
I think the meat of the story is like them taking down because they kept telling them, nope, nothing's wrong, it's not us. Yeah. I think the meat of the story is the victory of them winning against the company.
Yeah, the Aaron Brockovich-esque taking down the Goliath, sure. I'm looking forward to it, and it will hopefully get more downloads to the old show, which they are still firing up. Occasionally I get on the stats, and we get about half as many downloads for the old show per month as we do with the new show. So there's a lot of good topics in there, and occasionally something in the news will pop up, and then we'll pop up in a search, and really interesting to see that. Laz, did you have anything?
Yeah, but either I got news too that and I feel fine about disclosing it, because by the time you guys hear it, I'll be already home. But this weekend, Super Bowl Sunday, I'll be over in Seattle getting a bunch of tests done to hopefully get qualified to get on the kidney list.
That's pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah, 2 days of testing, so it should be pretty fun. I get to see Chris too. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that works out nice.
I'm gonna come over, and I guess I'm gonna be interviewed. I guess as your I'm gonna be Lyle's caretaker. I don't think we've talked about this.
No, I don't think we have.
In name, I mean, and duties, but
yeah.
When Lyle gets his kidney, because I'm to the place and I've got the space, so it's gonna be great. And they want to make sure I'm probably a capable individual, so fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, you cut out for just a bit, but the part that you that got cut was that he's going to be staying with you, and it's a big thing. I'm really happy that you're doing that, and thankful that you're doing that. And I plan on coming over and helping out however I can, even if it's dancing in my skimpies. Laughter, they say, doeth the heart good like medicine. I don't know what it does for a kidney, but the main takeaway is that things are moving forward, and, for your age, they're moving forward, I think, pretty quickly.
It really is. I stay away from Facebook quite a bit, but I am, I guess, a part of a few kidney disease like sites, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And they talk about it, and the reason why I don't go on there very much is just because it's a lot of negativity, for the most part. A lot of people have been waiting for years to get situated to get a kidney, and a lot of times, sometimes kidneys don't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's you don't want to get your head all swollen with a bunch of stuff, but it'll be cool. I got a hotel downtown this weekend, so that's gonna be sweet.
Nice. Take your binoculars, man. Trust me. I've told the stories of them downtown hotels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
holy shit!
Just walk to the hospital. I don't have to worry about waking up super early.
Yeah.
To get there, and if I get there Sunday enough time, I should be able to find a good parking spot that'll last me, and then I can just walk around, find out where I need to go for the morning. But it's an ordeal, man. It's like 9 hours of testing, CT scans, MRIs, the whole ball of wax.
Yeah, but to get you off dialysis, yeah, that's worth it. It's worth it going down that road at all.
Fucking A. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I get stuck so many times, and it's like every other day, it's like fuck.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. But anyway, back to cool stories. A little spin-off, kind of like what John Mark was talking about, was with Bigfoot and finding a Bigfoot and rewards. There was a guy. Remember when we talked about this story of the Skinwalker Ranch? It was supposed to have hauntings and like skinwalkers running around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all sorts of tomfoolery.
Like and there was a man called Robert Bigelow. He purchased this. What
a name!
Well, he purchased this ranch after all this, cattle mutilations and all this shit's going on. Crazy stuff. In fact, that's where Nibs started from. I think it's Nibs. It's his little thing. It's about trying to find paranormal investigations and stuff. The factual side of it. He just put out $1 million pot on trying to find out if there's life after death. And he set it up where he's going to pick 3 essays that provide the best evidence of basically life after death. And the first winner gets $500,000. Second winner gets 300,000, and the third runner up gets 150,000.
Oh, that's interesting. That's different than the Sasquatch story, because that one is like, okay, well, he's never going to have to pay that $1 million, but this guy's actually paying. He's paying the $1 million.
Yeah. Well, as a total, yeah. It's kind of funny too, because I think Netflix has just got a new TV show.
I saw that. Yeah.
On like life after death. The first thing I thought about was like, what was it? When we were kids, that movie Flatliners, where they trick.
Oh
death.
Yeah.
Keeper Sutherland.
Yeah, like to get high or something, right? Am I thinking of the right one? Or no, I'm thinking of Free Jack. Or what am I thinking?
Things started coming after him like their fears would resurface and then came out. I remember that.
It's not.
When they went.
Right, it's not Fatliners.
I watch Fatliners often.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. If anything, it's just...
I'm curious to read the winning essay that
for sure. I would like to know half the stuff he knows, because he put in so much money to buy that Skinwalker Ranch, and he had Nibs. It was basically a unit. It was like almost like, it's not, I wouldn't say governmentally ran, but it was ran like a government, like like a FBI, agency that studied Skinwalker Ranch for like 12 years. They got videotape and all this stuff, mostly evidence, but like half the evidence they couldn't really, technology was so weak in the 90s, really hard to get certain things, but like fascinating subject if you want a little spooky haunting stories is the Skinwalker Ranch. There's movies about it and interviews with.
I'm sure we did a podcast, or it's definitely come up many a time in the old show.
Sure. Yeah,
fascinating place.
All that. And another cool story I found was, and it's fascinating for me because, like I told you, like last episode, that I've been learning a lot about Egypt and stuff like that, and they found these tombs, 5 tombs. And they were around the time of the Roman era. So like basically, way back in Egypt, Egypt's so fucking old. If you think about it, like we think
I
about
would read
America.
that book. Dude, Egypt's so
We-
fucking old.
Well, we think about America. It's like only like a few hundred.
America is so fucking young.
It's like infantile compared to something like Egypt. It's like
Our version, anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I'm not going to spit out ages because I don't really know them.
Right.
But these
Our
mummies were during the Roman age. So basically, Rome, as they took over Egypt, and they did a lot of destroying. They ruined, a lot of old art, buildings and whatnot. But what they found in these graves, they're 2,000 years old, and it was basically a mummy that had a golden tongue. And what was kind of ironic about it was that it was an Achilles heel that this individual had. He had a speech impediment, and they thought that the only way that he would be able to talk to the gods is if he was fixed. So they basically did the whole mummification thing, pulled out his tongue, and then put a golden tongue in his mouth and sealed him up so he could talk to Oryx.
Ladies.
After he's got the golden tongue, literally.
Golden tongue. Fascinating.
A lot of the other remnants that they found around the area were kind of Roman period time of sculptures of busts and stuff like that. So that's how they knew it was kind of like more of the Roman time.
Yeah.
When they ruled.
I love me that ancient Egypt shit. Do you remember that when COVID kind of first got getting going? It's good that my alcohol's kicking in because I'm about to do my heavy lifting. But you remember that? I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but I posted it on the Facebook page, that super high def 3D walkthrough of one of Ramses
I did it.
2 or
it was
something.
Awesome.
Oh my
Incredible.
God. I was like having a panic attack at one point because I felt like, okay, at this point I have walked so far into this thing. And I was just trying to picture the archaeologists that discovered that.
Wow.
100 years ago or 70 years ago, whenever the shit was discovered, with like fucking torches and flashlights. And they didn't have...
What Ron's saying here, it was like imagine being it was like a 3D tour, almost like a Google Street View of going inside this incredible tomb. I mean, like,
it just goes and goes and goes.
incredible.
All the crazy detailed artwork, all up the walls, all on the floor, all on the columns, all above the ceiling, and you can look everywhere. And it just goes forever, and then you finally get to the tomb. And by then, you gotta just be breathing the mustiest, nasty, thick, dank air because you have walked so far.
It must have been miles. I maybe not that long. Like,
yeah,
it was
I
long.
don't think. Yeah,
but the walls.
I would
are
believe a
full
mile
of
for
glyphs.
sure.
The walls were like ceiling to floor in rows and rows and rows had art. Every square inch seemingly. It was incredible.
Covered, completely covered.
Well, you got to think about that, how they did that without leaving all the soot and shit from having like torches set up while they did the artwork, because they didn't find any of that.
Yeah, everything was just kind of immaculate. But imagine being the first ones in there, and like it's cobwebs and whatever critters come scurrying out, and darkness, and you don't know what's up. You don't know what's coming. You just keep walking and walking and walking. You're like, holy fucking shit. These people were insane with the art and the opulence and the scope and the size of what we're walking into. And the halls are so tall. And it's all just for this tomb that was not, I don't think these were set up to be visited. They were meant to be like, blocked off for all eternity. I mean, that's why they put curses on them or warnings, and in some cases booby traps. Remember we talked about some of these sarcophagi that they found had poisonous spores purposefully put in, knowing that people that discovered them would breathe those in and die. They didn't want this shit disturbed, so all of this was just for the fucking pharaoh. It was just for the gods. It was just for eyes that they never thought would ever see him. That's what's even crazier. It's one thing to spend all that time and effort on something that is supposed to endure for human eyes, but if you believe in gods and you believe that all the glory goes to God or the gods, I suppose that would be the ultimate tribute. You don't care about anything else. That's what matters. But really, really fascinating. Get online and check that out if you haven't seen it. It's crazy. And you'll be there a while. Take your time. Don't rush through it. Don't rush to get to the end just to see what the tomb looks like. It's neat to get to the tomb, but it's no more exciting than just taking in the experience of the entire place from the second you step foot in there. It just gets crazier and crazier.
Well, for you tech gurus out there too, there's an application. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I think it's desktop something or other. It's for VR, but you could play anything in VR if you use that program. It's like desktop something or other.
Ooh, can you imagine walking through that thing with a VR headset on?
Kind of like what I'm thinking right now. I might be doing it tonight.
That would be incredible. that would probably give me I'm not a super claustrophobic person, but there's always been something about the idea of climbing into these tombs, these ancient fucking tombs, that just creeps my shit out. Maybe it's Hollywood talking somewhere in the back of my head, but it's just like, whew.
Next time I come to Wenatchee, I'm bringing my Oculus Quest. I'm gonna make you do them shits. Wait, Lyle, did you say you picked one of those up?
No.
You have the real deal. You have the big guy.
He's got the sex one.
Yeah, that's right. There's 11 rings, and he needs 12.
He's got the Lord of the Rings edition.
Wait, did you just say, wait, this thing? Like he grabbed it, like we could see it.
I pretty much think I bottomed it out once or twice too.
Yeah, I would too. Totally.
That's exactly what it sounds like. That program's called Virtual Desktop, and you could get it on a Steam library. But like, you could actually,
but it doesn't actually let you play games in VR. It just puts it on a giant screen in front of you, right?
But yeah, in VR. So like, if you're doing the Google thing, all you'd have to do is enlarge it. So it's
you can do. There's a Google app. You can literally get anywhere on the Google Earth thing in your VR headset. Yeah,
that's true. They do.
I stood in my front yard. It was fucking bizarre. Like because I'm also like 10 foot tall when you're doing it for some reason. So it feels really.
You're just hanging out in your yard, like.
And it's funny because I can see
exactly
myself,
like I'm out in my yard.
I can see myself in my Google Street View. I'm visible playing pinball in my fucking dining room.
Oh, that's
so
hilarious.
I was like, I'm looking at myself. It's funny.
Well, should we get moving on to some fun fart facts? Because I know Christopher's got something exciting coming up, and I'm anxious to get to that. Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Well, I came across a couple of fun fart facts today, and I thought, that's just what the doctor ordered for this week's podcast. So, and they were just a couple, and they weren't even all that interesting. But I thought there's got to be some great fart facts on the interwebs. So I just started off on my own research. Now, first off, and this one sounds like a bunch of hot air, if you ask me, but according to science, only 1% of our fart smells. In other words, out of all the gaseous things that make up our ass wind, the stuff that causes odor, which is
just one bad apple, huh? Spoils the whole barrel.
It's the hydrogen sulfide, and it only makes up 1%. The rest is carbon dioxide, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and of course methane. So that only leaves 1% of the smelly stuff, which again is hydrogen sulfide. 1%.
Man, that's nuts.
Yeah, the Lord was merciful.
So 99% of those particles going up whomever's nose
that
I've unleashed.
Yeah, you're still breathing
harmless.
it in.
Harmless, yeah. 1%.
Next, and these may be fighting words, so proceed with caution. And I gotta say, this doesn't fit my life experience, but you guys weigh in with your thoughts and prayers here. And again, according to thorough scientific research, women have smellier gas than men. According to a researcher named Dr. Levitt, who discovered that women produce more hydrogen sulfide than men do. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because when I think of like a room clearing fart, the kind of fart that could end a marriage, I think of
Always
a dude.
Always a dude.
Leaning back in like his easy chair and satisfaction. Like, yeah, there it is. But there's...
In my experience, not many women have wanted to fart in front of me.
Yeah.
Especially like
I'm more
so,
of
like,
that variety.
maybe that's why. Maybe that's fucking why.
Maybe that's why they don't fart in front of you, because they know they are the worst, the more deadly of the species.
How many people's heads are exploding out there right now? Just like,
Like,
Well, you
wait a
can't
minute,
judge
she's never farted in front of me.
wait a second.
The judging fart has to come in bed when you're trying to sleep.
Sure.
And,
Well, the Dutch oven is the ultimate scientific laboratory for fart study.
I just called that one love potion number 9.
I would never do that to someone I love.
Love potion number 2.
That's love potion number. Get the fuck out of my bed forever.
Breathe it in. You'll feel differently.
Well, John Mark, Lyle, what do you think? In your experience with women, have you found that, women are way worse?
They are. But the thing is, they mask. They got a lot of masking.
Like you say you've noticed that women's farts are stinkier than men's?
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, he's on the side of science. And I was curious how this went, because I was only judging by my own life experience. John
Exactly,
Mark,
me
what
too.
about you? Well, you were saying something that Lyle, though. You insinuating like perfume and lotions, etc.
Yeah. But it's a
Yeah,
mask.
but guys have
scent.
Axe and body wash too.
Get
and-
away with fucking doing it, and you don't really know, or they could. It's a blending mask. You know what I mean?
I think they just, when they're really ripping those nasty ones, it's just like before it can hit your nose, they're like, "I'm gonna suck that dick. What about that?" And then you're just never gonna give a shit. Maybe that's when those spontaneous sexual moments come to the forefront. John Mark, what say ye?
I think it's equal opportunity, man. I think it just depends on what you ate, what each person
Oh, it
ate,
certainly does.
what their, if they have an issue with something, like if maybe they're gluten intolerant or they ate something that they're, I think it's just, I don't know, man. To me, it's 50-50.
Well, there does seem to be some science that says men produce more volume of gas per toot. So it could just be that there's more of it. Like they're not necessarily, they may be producing.
They're like 2%.
Yeah, by volume. So you let us know at home. Weigh in on the next. That can be how you comment on the next episode post. Do you
Cheryl,
find...
I'm dying to hear. Cheryl, I need to hear from you specifically on where you stand here.
Yeah, and be honest. This is for science. This is for all the gold. So let us know. Okay, so around the table, let's. How many times a day do you think the average schmo, male or female, push out a tutor, which is my favorite? I actually don't. I rather disenjoy the word fart, and I think that it's made only worse when it's used with the term brain fart. Like that phrase really makes me uneasy and anxious. I dislike it.
Brain fart?
Brain fart. Yeah, I don't know what it's like. It's like a brain is a sloppy, squirrely thing. It shouldn't be anywhere near a fart. And I don't like the word fart in general, even though I'm saying it 100 times on this episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, how many times a day do you think the average healthy human being farts? Lyle, what say you?
Well, I think it's healthy to fart unless you got the sharts, and then you got problems, issues. So I'd say probably 5.
5 farts a day. Christopher?
Are we talking about like when you sit down to go poop? Because that kind of always comes with the two.
I think we can separate this from anything ceremonious, like drop an anchor, because that is a different type of farting. I mean, we can all agree on that, yeah?
Man, that's tough because diet really does, for me specifically.
On average,
like I don't,
sure.
On average. I bet it's higher than you imagine, though. Just like how many times you touch your face a day, or I don't know why I fucking brought that, to correlate with this. But
it's a good one. It's a good one.
What did you say? You said 5, Lyle?
Yeah, Lyle said 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 12.
All right. John Mark?
I'm going to go right in the middle and say 7.
Well, Christopher was closest. 15 to 20 is the average fart count per day. And like I think Chris was hinting, I think we all know, some overachievers.
Is this like worldwide, or is it a particular country, or like what are we looking at here?
It didn't specify, but I would imagine
I think that could make a difference.
These scientific studies are taking in a lot of different diets. They're taking in a lot of different ethnicities. That I was able to verify. So I would say that this is a pretty safe average worldwide. But we'll see. We shall see. If someone wants to start keeping track, it's a hard thing to keep track of because it's one of those things that I think most of us do subconsciously, like touching your face. That's why I think it was a fair, none of us ever thought about touching our, well, I do because I'm a germaphobe. I've known about the don't touch your face thing for half my life. Y'all are just catching up. But when you put a mask on or you're told not to, you're like, oh shit, I touched my face like a fucking meth addict. Like, what am I touching? But your eyes itch, your nose itches, your face just feels weird. Sometimes you just nervously, I got sideburns. If you got a beard, I think sometimes we just like play with our facial hair, just kind of like while you're thinking about something is when I typically Chris is constantly stroking is what he was saying.
I like combing my beard. I had a beard. I'd comb it.
Yeah. Now there's some debate about this next one, but many experts believe that the oldest joke in known history was in fact an ancient fart joke. Ancient Sumerian, to be exact. And it was a proverb dating back to 1900 BC that says, quote, something which has never occurred since time immemorial. A young woman did not fart in her husband's lap. Unquote. That old classic. Look, it's not Carrot Top quality, but I'm sure something is lost in translation. But that's the oldest thing that they have that they're aware of that was like the oldest fucking joke. And it was fart related.
And prostitution was the oldest profession.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So like clothes on or off.
And they often went hand in hand. I mean, buttholes, there couldn't possibly be a time behind us, no pun intended, or in front of us, no pun intended, that buttholes aren't funny. Like, look at that fucking thing and look at what it does. And it stinks. It's like, this is just a weird fucking contraption. It's a fascinating thing, the sphincter.
I bet buttholes become less funny when the required anal swab test for COVID hit us all.
That's where buttholes stop being funny. The day we stopped laughing at buttholes.
The day
2021.
Butthole.
The day the laughter died.
All right, Rod. I know you're a busy man, but how hard would it be to pick up a guitar and put that track down as a little stinger here?
I'm taking a fucking day off. Don't want to add more to it. The average guy that I grew up with will know this, and I'm sure you guys do. But in case there are some of you out there that never actually took a lighter to your butthole whilst breaking wind, you may not know that farts are, in fact, flammable and explosive.
Let me tell you, I don't do that for the same reason I don't fucking hold a bottle of hairspray up to a Zippo.
Right.
Because I'm too fucking scared that fire's going to creep up to the source and explode.
Yeah, I've seen it.
When, I can't remember where the hell it was, but when we were kids, I'm trying to remember who the hell it was. It was a sleepover.
Probably
like
Scott. Scott was always lighting his fucking farts. That's how I knew it worked.
Yeah. And
let's get him on the show. Can you do it live?
Well, it was the late 80s, so like I had a pair of spandex on, and I did it.
Oh my God, Lyle, is there a photo?
No,
you know what? Classic fireball mid somersault pose.
Oh, it is. We used to always wear spandex like biker shorts and put our cigarettes in.
I did.
Spandex part. Well, we were like shorts over them sometimes, but
looking like fucking Nitzer Ebb.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing to look like was like earlier we were talking about butt rockers. You'd have like torn up Levi's and then you just wear spandex underneath, even though you had holes in your crotch and shit.
Yeah, your balls weren't hanging out.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I lifted a leg and fucking lit it, and it was so bad it fucking burned a hole right through the spandex.
No. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why you don't do that. It could have gone right up your butt.
It's literally flammable gas. It's the original hot yoga, now that I think on it, because you got to put yourself in a bit of a yoga pose and then lighten that shit up. But it's, going back to that initial, what those chemicals are. There are two highly flammable chemicals, hydrogen and methane, in the fart. And I mean, hydrogen was what brought the fucking Hindenburg down, for Christ's sake. I mean, the blimp was essentially a fart balloon that came crashing down with all that humanity. So...
And who knows? You know what?
We fart that shit.
You know what just could have happened right now?
We fart that shit.
Our,
Yeah, go
our
ahead.
podcast just broke how spontaneous human combustion works.
Oh shit!
Maybe they were lighting
That's
their
been a
farts.
theory, actually. That has been a theory.
Yeah.
Just because they do tend to burn from the midsection out. You know, it's always the extremities that are left. There's never an asshole left. We ever talk about that? No, people are too busy talking about themselves. But yeah, Scott, the king of lighting his farts on fire. It was like a Wizard of Oz. Like the Wizard of Oz face was about to appear in this fireball between this dude's thighs. It was uncanny. And he was just never afraid of that. He was never afraid of singeing his pubes, which he did often. Oh yeah, it was a thing to behold.
This guy,
Do women know about this? I know women do some shit.
Chris,
I don't know
this is a guy that would call you up in the afternoon out of nowhere and say, dude, I just fucking took a shit that took 5 curls in the toilet, dude. I wish I could have took a picture of it.
You know, if we were as close as we were back in the day, I would be getting shit pictures from Scott's toilets like every fucking day. Like, dude, it curled onto itself.
Are you guys still friends? I mean, do you ever see this
Yeah,
guy?
we just saw him. Sarah and I were walking over in the new neighborhood, and he's my UPS guy. So we kept seeing him at the stop sign because he'd deliver and then he'd get back in and he'd deliver and he'd get back in. Yeah, I'm actually working on a commission art piece for him right now. So
Nice.
good dude, funny dude. So moving on, we do have ancient farts trapped in prehistoric amber. Little butt bubbles caused by critters that are like giant termites, for example. A few different species that we've captured their farts in amber as they were being preserved in the astronomical death of all things prehistoric.
Oh my God, I just had a funny fucking memory. But like a group of us were going up getting wood for our buddy Steve.
Mhm.
So we're up here, up in the mountains. We're sawing down trees, but it's like the day after of some heavy drinking, right? So one of our guys, it was Jason Flowers. He was in the back seat and of this truck, and he goes, "Oh man, give me that empty Pringles can." I go, "What are you gonna do with that?" He goes, "You'll see." And exactly what he did. He farted in it, and he closed it. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
We drove a mile, or not a mile, like an hour up the mountain. We spent 3 or 4 hours basically taking care of wood and then split it with axes and stuff. Put filled up his truck with about a quarter wood. And we came back down the mountain. And when we came back down the mountain, that motherfucker opened that up, dude. And we had to fucking roll down all the windows.
It didn't age like a fine wine.
It
farts
poured.
back.
It didn't smell like a salty Pringle.
I can't even imagine you could seal something up like that.
Yeah, we've done that before and I don't know if I've ever had something sit for an hour, but we certainly farted in a jar. And if you cap it and you come back to it, yeah, for a while, it will be there. And we're talking about gases, so you can capture gas. If it's airtight, it's there to some degree and for a while. It's just insane. And again, something that most guys have already done their scientific research for. It does seem that vegans and vegetarians are gassier than meat eaters, at least the few that actually eat more veggies. I feel like most of my veggie pals eat garbage food for the most part. They just eat non-animal product garbage food, like going back to Pringles. If Pringles don't have lard or dairy in them anywhere, that's high on the quote unquote vegetarian food chain, but it's pretty well known, more fiber, and they do tend to eat more of a bean-based diet. And I didn't know this, but beans actually cause a very specific type of bacteria to grow in your lower intestines, and that produces more and stronger smelling gas. So the beans, the musical fruit, is not just something that causes more gas, but it's actually a different variety based on a specific bacteria that beans sprout in your butthole. It's all very, very healthy, apparently, but I don't eat beans anymore. I don't agree with him. They don't agree with me.
What do you eat any longer? Good God.
Mostly meat. I'm mostly carnivore these days. But now the first on-screen fart was not Blazing Saddles, like a lot of people seem to think. but it came out 3 years earlier in terms of like a mainstream.
Everyone knows it was Gone with the Wind.
But 1971, there's a film called Cold Turkey starring Dick Van Dyke, Bob Newhart, and, some others. I guess I didn't write down anymore. I didn't know that. A little bit of film trivia for you.
Those guys were gold, man.
Gone with the Wind.
There's a lot of movies those guys starred in back then. Back in the day.
Yeah, I love Bob Newhart.
Yeah.
There's also a fart in Breakpoint.
Was there?
No. The Breaking Point. Right?
Gotcha. Did Kevin Bacon ever fart in a feature? I bet his butthole appears.
No,
just like
it's like the reclusive brother doesn't do any actual.
No photographs, please. I like to do my work behind the scenes.
Clench. I don't want any visitors.
In the early 1900s, there was a man by the name of Joseph Pujol who discovered that he discovered that he had this miraculous gift, superpower, you might say, to inhale air through his ass the same way that we would like sometimes. I know people, wow. Scott was one of these people too. He could inhale a bunch of air and then burp it out. I've never been able to do that.
Butt? Oh, like,
no, he could do it with his throat. You know, I know people that can do that. I've never figured that out. This dude could do it with his ass, ladies.
The chosen one, Jesus Christ!
Just like up his anal pie, and then he could just walk around like, "Hey, Gary," which would have been fun at parties.
Totally right.
Okay. Although I know people that were that gassy, like Abigail, could pretty much fart on demand. My friend Josh, R.I.P., he could definitely fart on demand. And he was one of those overachievers where he would look at that 15 to 20 farts a day number and he'd be like, I call that breakfast, bitch. But now apparently turtles can fart. I mean, most animals can fart, but turtles apparently are quite offensive with their farts. They're loud and they are very, like, they're the eye stinging variety. Now, I can neither confirm nor deny, so if any of our listeners out there are turtle lovers and they own a turtle, let us know if you've had a turtle shirtle. I'm trying to think of something clever there. Turtle shirtle is going to have to do, I guess. But turtle fart, something I've never experienced. There's always time, I suppose.
I wonder if like sea turtles could like do that and just like propel themselves through the ocean.
Maybe that's what's knocking all the ships over in the Atlantic. Now, contrary to popular belief, this was another thing I didn't know, although I probably could have guessed if I put it together. You cannot fart your way into a shit stain. So if your undies are spotted, shall we say, then fecal matter has definitely been involved, even if you swear that it was a dry wind, as they say.
Interesting.
So
Science.
If there's a shit stain, there was shit, son. And that is science. That's my kind of science. Here's a strange one that I couldn't find anything shooting it down. Everyone seems suspect, but there does seem to be some truth to the idea of it anyway. But apparently, several sources say that over 1,000 soldiers died in World War II, directly tied to flatulence. Of course, there's more to the story, and we hadn't quite dialed in the whole pressurized cabin thing at this point. So there were a bunch of soldiers that if there was a particular amount of gas bubbling in their lower intestine when they were ascending above 20,000 feet in an unpressurized cabin, this was causing the intestinal gas to expand by 300%. Now, I think we can all attest that some of the most inexplicably crippling pain can come from a gas bubble, right? Like, it just all of a sudden you're just like, oh fuck, and it'll like stop you in your tracks until it's resolved. Now imagine, and that's just from a little bit of expansion, just a little bubble. Imagine that blowing up 300%.
What they call that is it's called the bends. And so, like as a diver,
well, those are bubbles in your blood. That's bubbles that are going through like your bloodstream.
Well, I don't.
That's nitrogen in your blood.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to just go up with the level of the bubbles. if you go up faster than that.
Yeah, you gotta decompress. But it's tied. I'm sure it's tied to the same thing. That's why it made sense to me. And again, take this one with a grain of salt, because even though these all came from scientifically sound links, and then when I tried to double check, like that's the only one I'd like, is that true? There seems to be truth to it. And they even brought up the bends, because even though it's a different thing, it's the same kind of science where it's, we are made of gas and liquids and bubbles. And when we go fucking about with pressure, it can do all sorts of things like the bends. Can you imagine the first people that discovered the bends?
Fuck.
Like, no shit. Well, sorry. Better luck next. Oh, there won't be a next time, Gary. You're twisted like a fucking pretzel. And horrible, horrible death. Whew. But so look that one up. Maybe that one's been shot down, but I couldn't find it with the 30-second search that I did. And you know how that goes. Now, finally, and this is, I think, the most exciting, and I think a lot of people might have been wondering if I was going to get to this, the world record for the longest fart ever. Now let's have you go around the horn here. Let's start with Chris. What do you think is the longest fart according to Guinness World Records?
Okay, I'm I think it's something absolutely ridiculous, like 4 hours.
Whoa.
Interesting. Okay, that's what you're going with?
Yeah, reach for the stars.
Sure. The brown star. Reach for the brown stars. Lyle, how about you?
Hey, I'm gonna go with the dollar.
You're gonna go with
1 hour.
No, I would say 50. No, I would say 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
But I'm wondering if did they induce gas to do it?
No, I can say no. This is just someone who at some point figured out that he can fart a long time and decided.
The only reason I'm going with that, most normal people could only hold their breath for 4 minutes. So.
Right.
Yeah,
but you can breathe while you fart.
Hours.
John Mark, what say you? You should
2
be
days.
regretting your 2 days. Well, Christopher's 4 hours just got taken out of the embarrassing shack.
I feel good.
Lyle was almost spot on. He overshot it. It was 2.5 minutes is the, let's see. I lost my notes here. Yeah, according to Guinness Book of World Records, Bernard Clemens of London has the longest butt burp at 2 minutes and 42 seconds. However, this man, who calls himself Mr. Methane, claims to have the longest fart ever filmed. So I thought we would end this segment because, folks, it is one thing to talk about a minute-long fart and quite another to hear. So give a listen. And just know that Mr. Methane is dressed head to toe, wearing a cape and basically a green superhero costume. And this is just shy of a minute. And he is in the aforementioned flaming yoga position. So give a little listen for Mr. Methane going for his own world record.
Steady. Go.
It's a good technique where it's like letting the air out of a balloon.
Could you imagine 4 hours of this?
Yeah, nope. Little break there, but 20 seconds and counting.
Oh my god.
35 seconds.
Something died. His dignity.
His face is like, "Ugh."
It's those pauses you got to worry about.
Is it like one of those still frames from a diver?
Almost done. At 59 seconds. That's what 59 seconds looks like. Now, I couldn't find any footage or recordings of Bernard Clemens's alleged 2:42. So, but we can say that Mr. Methane did a 1-minute fart on YouTube. Look it up, folks.
My cheeks hurt, not my tootin' one.
I think my longest is probably maybe 6 seconds.
Yeah, and even that seems like when you're doing it, like I usually have pretty short ones. The only time I ever have a long one is like if I've been holding it in for like a 4-hour meeting or some shit.
Right.
And you do that glorious walk to your car, and it's like someone's down there motorboating in your ass. It's just what seems like a minute, but yeah, it's probably like 3 to 5, 6, 7 seconds at the most, and that feels like a lifetime. Can you imagine the sensation of farting for an entire minute? I mean, you heard it. It goes on forever.
Yeah, but he really struggled to let as little out as possible.
You
know what I mean?
That was like letting the air out of the balloon. That high pitch.
Well, it's an art form.
Yeah, he's got that's his technique. That's his process. All right. Well, I need to go to the bathroom real quick before we get on to weird trivia. So, quick break. All right, so let's move on to some weird trivia. Now, there was a snafu. So on Facebook, when you leave your comments,
snafu, see?
they're initially in order, but by the time I go back to refresh my memory, it puts it like most recent or most popular. But the most recent doesn't work the way you think it would, like because it puts the newest ones up top, but it's not in order. I went back and checked. It doesn't work that way. And that's how I've been doing it. I figured if you put it most recent, there's no option to say in order. So the closest thing, it's like most popular or most relevant, and then it's most recent. So I figured if I put most recent, that meant the bottom one would be the first one. It does not work that way. So henceforth, let's do this. When you leave your message and you know your first, put first, and second, put second, and third, put third. Henceforth, then I will know who was what. Just make it easy on the roster's poor brain.
And let's just let's ride this out through this round of winners, and I think I have an idea on how we can streamline this a little bit and make it easier.
Great.
Cyber. So yeah.
So this means we go with Skip, who was the actual first last time. So Skip gets John Mark. Andrea, who was the actual second last time, gets Lyle. And I believe that brings us square because the other players were represented. I think Cheryl might have been next in that list. I'm not sure, but I think we covered that. So TJ left a comment under one of the posts that Christopher put up. I never did put the official episode post up because I didn't want to cause any more snafu. And people were finding it. They were downloading it and already commenting on it. So TJ gets stuck with old Ronnie Two Wins Evans here. And I will try my best. This is not the typical quiz, and I tend to do better on these ones that aren't typical. But Chris has something wacky in store for us. I'm going to light my cigar. Give us the rundown. What are we doing?
I'm excited about this one. Now, this is going to be harder, but fun. I think it's really fun, and I may think it's more fun because I'm on the other side with the answers. Mm-hmm. I've ran this past 3 people, and they all hated it. They all did not well. So I'm eager to see how you guys do. This is, can you guess the movie by the bad movie description I'm going to give it to you of it?
Did you make the bad movie description?
No. I scoured the internet, and I got 20 ones that I think are funny. And sometimes they're almost like reading a riddle. I'm going to give you an example. For instance, here's an example. And I would say this is a more difficult one. Example. Small town cop overcomes fear of water by unconventional means.
Jaws.
Perfect. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so all of the movies are well-known movies. You will know every single one of them. Maybe you not have seen every single one, but you know every single one. Also, I'll give you a couple of hints right now. There are at least 2 Disney animated movies and 2 comic book movies.
Okay. Are we texting these to you, or are we eliminating answers? Okay, good.
You'll be texting me your answers. I will tell you the par for the course. It's been about 5 to 6 answers right out of 20.
Out of 20. Okay.
Yeah. So, but Lyle immediately reached out and got that. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So, I will also say this, because I think this is hard. You're all gonna text me your answers. If you really just can't guess what it is, say pass. That's fine. I won't read your answer. If you, I'm gonna give each one of you a hint, like a hint token, and if you think you're really close to getting it and you want a hint, just text hint to me, and then after
we could even say it, right? We can just say say it, and then
sure,
you can text it.
That's fine too. Yeah. So the other guys will have their answers in. You say hint, and I'm gonna say you can either say I'll give you the genre of the film or the first letter of it.
And we get two of those for the whole game.
You get one.
Get one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready to fuck this up the ass.
Let's see. Okay, you guys have your phones out. Remember, just text me and me alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, phone. I thought you said penis. Oh, God.
Sure, man.
I need a hint.
What you got to do, baby. All right, 1. A young farmer befriends an old man who mutilated his father. A young farmer befriends an old man who mutilated his father. We've got Ronsters, who's absolutely right. I've got John Mark, who's right, and Lyle passed. It was Star Wars.
Oh, God.
I like this.
They're all kind of wonky like that. And like I said, they're meant to be clever and almost riddle-like in nature. All right, 2.
I was thinking like Hills Have Eyes or something stupid.
Mm-hmm. That's
like, these are all really well-known movies. Keep that in mind. Okay. Genius swaps vital information for a story about sheep. Genius swaps vital information for a story about sheep.
Wow. Genius swaps vital information for a story about sheep. Okay. Okay. Maybe. No, that's not right. I don't know this one.
I see Lyle typing. I see it coming.
Do you love those little...
I can't remember the name of the movie.
You can use your clue.
I'll tell you what. I'll save it for you, Lyle. John Mark asked for the hint. I'm going to give you all the hint right now. I've already got Ron's answer, so you can't change it, Ron, unfortunately.
That's fair.
The hint, okay. John Mark, would you prefer the first letter of the film or the genre? John Mark?
Genre.
Oh, gosh. I call it thriller, intense thriller. Genius swaps vital information for a story about sheep.
God. This is almost like SAT or IQ questions, of which I have low. So I'm not going to soar.
Okay, I'm going to say wrap it up if I don't get a text here about, okay.
No. I don't think it's
okay. Lyle said The Men Who Stare at Goats. Good guess, not the right movie. John Mark says pass. Ronster says Blade Runner. The correct answer was Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, okay.
Maurice.
Damn. These are all going to be like, oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. And they're meant to be hard, but, we'll see how we do here.
Well,
3.
6 out of 20.
So nobody got that one.
Is the average.
Love, hate it.
Love, hate, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage girl marries man whose profession is charter fishing all of her family and friends. Teenage girl marries man whose profession is charter fishing all of her family and friends.
What?
This is a tough one, but I think it's funny.
Charter fishing.
Okay, that's true. Teenage girl marries man whose profession is charter fishing all of her family and friends.
I don't know. I know it's in that genre, goddammit.
I'm not going to bother typing it. I got nothing. I'm pass.
John Mark, you got anything? Love, hate. It was The Little Mermaid.
Wow. Okay. This is a bitch.
I said that one was a little bit harder than the
This
other
is
ones.
a
All right, let's see how you.
stingy wingy bitch.
It is. It's going to be tough, but I think this next one will garnish some correct answers here.
I'm looking forward to seeing how
Question.
people do at home. Let us know how you did along with
Yeah.
playing along.
4. The face of William Shatner is the face of pure evil.
Okay, fine. It's not even a riddle. It's just a softball for us.
Oh, wow. Might be stuck on this one.
Well, yeah, because I only know him from TV shows and not movies.
Yeah, this is a bit
Oh.
of trivia that is well known within certain genres of movie lovers. I'd be surprised if John Mark doesn't know this, but I don't know.
Well, you are going to be surprised then because you got it wrong, John Mark. I was surprised too.
Oh, that is surprising.
I'll take the hint.
Okay. Would you prefer the first letter or the genre?
First letter.
8.
I think that's the best way to go. Now I
The
bet John
face
Mark
of
knows it.
William Shatner is the face of pure evil.
It's fun when you get it right.
I don't think I'm going to give you another hint. William Shatner isn't in the movie.
Motherfucker. Technically.
Not technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know.
He
now I know what it
just
is.
doesn't know that bit of trivia, which is
I know
the
what
thing.
It is
You either
now.
know that bit of trivia or you don't.
I got to pass.
Okay, it was Halloween, and Ron got that correct.
Ooh, he almost gave it away too. You gotta know that bit of trivia, which is the thing, which is the guy who directed that movie. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
The mask, the
Yeah.
Michael Myers mask is a William Shatner mask from
I would never guess that.
1979.
Inside Out William Shatner mask,
Yeah, I kind of knew that, but
or Painted White, or whatever.
I think it's
thought
just
that was
painted
Inside
white.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Inside Out, but whatever.
Okay,
Good.
5.
good God.
Guy takes steroids to beat up Nazis with a frisbee. Guy takes steroids to beat up Nazis with a frisbee. John Mark, I have his answer.
Oh, he knows.
Oh yes, and he got it right. And it's very easy when you think about it. Guy takes steroids to beat up Nazis with the frisbee.
Just trying to think of any fucking Nazi movie. I need it. I'm taking my hint because it
You
sounds
gonna
like
take your
John Mark
hint?
knows, and I need to at least try to match up here. Yeah.
What do you want? Do you want the first letter or the genre?
First letter.
I believe the first letter is C, and it's also the never mind. Yes.
You believe?
Well, I'm trying to remember if it had like a weird title. I don't think it did. Yeah, no, it started with the C, and it's also the character's name. Oh God, I've said too much.
Yeah, that's a lot of hint, and it's not.
Lyle, you have time here still, baby.
Boy, I don't want to drag this thing on too long. I gotta say no.
Lyle says Toxic Adventure.
Totally wrong because it
It's
starts
wrong,
with
but-
C.
It was Captain America. Think about it.
Oh man.
Oh
Guy
yeah,
takes
well, see,
steroids.
I didn't know that was a Nazi movie. I never seen it.
John Mark got that correct. Yeah, he fights. Well, yeah.
That makes
There's
sense.
always
Well, I
memes
guess I
in him.
knew that it was. Period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frisbee shield.
At the beginning.
Is that a
too.
shield, or does he
Yeah,
actually
it's a
have a frisbee?
It's a
Yeah,
shield,
shield.
but it's fucking like a frisbee.
Throws it
Gotcha.
around.
All right.
Uh,
Well, where are we at
okay.
score wise right
I was
now?
just gonna give you an update here. So after 5 questions, Ron's got 2, John Mark's got 2, Lyle's still waiting for his first win, but I'm sure they're coming here.
No, I got a long
Okay,
way
this
to go.
one, this one's tough, but fucking great.
This one's
6.
tough.
Girl gets spots, pukes, and talks about blowjobs in hell.
Okay. Well, that one.
Girl
I
gets
know.
spots, pukes, and then talks about blowjobs in hell.
I made that plural accidentally, but you get the idea.
Disqualified.
I'm sorry, but there was only one.
Okay, I've got Ron, and I've got John Marks, and Lyles, and you've all got it fucking correct with The Exorcist. Well done, guys.
Your mom sucks cocks in hell.
Your mother sucks cock in hell. Okay.
Remember the Saturday Night Live sketch with Richard Pryor? He's like, Don't you talk about my mama. He starts choking the bitch.
All right.
That's
7.
good.
Cop has worst Christmas ever with estranged wife.
Okay.
Cop has worst Christmas ever with estranged wife. I see fucking ... bubbles on all three of
He's
them.
like, ooh.
Well done. You all got that correct with Die Hard.
Yeah. It is fun when you get it. It's
Yeah,
the
God
worst
damn
game
this
ever
movie.
when you don't.
Uh-huh. Okay, question 8. World's best theme park quickly becomes world's worst theme park.
Okay.
World's best theme park quickly becomes world's worst theme park.
That had me heading down a wrong road at first, and then...
You all got it correct with Jurassic Park. Well done.
All right, we're getting finely tuned.
Yeah. Okay. In this movie, one thing is for sure. The cats land on their feet myth is busted. In this movie, one thing is for sure. The cats land on their feet myth is busted.
Gummo? Don't watch Gummo, folks, if you like cats. Fuck, say it one more time.
In this movie, one thing is for sure. That the cats land on their feet myth is busted.
Oh, my God. I don't think I even have a guess. I don't think I even have anything to try. Are the others answering? Did John Mark get it right?
He did not.
It's kind of a clue when the other ones get it right. It's like, okay, what?
God damn it. My phone's not.
Fuck it. I may as well guess something. It's better than just saying I got nothing. I have no doubt that this is wrong, but it's something.
Okay, well, you answered and Lyle answered correctly. It was The Lion King.
It was The Lion King. You know, it was because of your hint that they were animated. That I don't think my mind would have gone there. Maybe it would have, but...
John Mark guessed cats.
Oh, we got to watch that cat's butthole. Who was it? Somebody suggested, might have been Cynthia.
I know it's a thing. I just...
suggested that we watch one of the next...
The butthole cut.
How bizarre. Yeah, we watched the butthole cut of cats. Buttholes.
Okay. Question 10.
I think we're at the average now, right? We got to be close to the average that everyone else got.
Yeah, you're doing better than most people did, so that's great. Yeah, go you guys. Let's see how you do with this one. Reclusive weirdo and his mutant employees lure children into his workplace with sweets, then dispose of them one by one.
I might not get the full title of this, but you're going to give it to me, right? Oh, actually, I do know the oh, fuck.
You fucker.
Jesus Christ.
Reclusive weirdo and his mutant employees lure children into his workplace with sweets, then dispose of them one by one.
I bet they would have got it anyway.
Let's see. I've got Ron's, I've got Lyle's, and they're both correct.
But I know the movie, but I'm like,
oh, you're kidding me. It's funny because when you started typing and then went away, it went back to your last message, so just cats popped up. And I was like, again?
No, I'm just like trying to hold on.
Well, he's thinking I'm going to grab more whiskey. And I'm back. I didn't realize it was so close. Oh, I finally got a day off tomorrow, boys. This has been a fucking week. 2 podcasts, tons of editing, put out a magazine and delivered them. Okay.
Well done, sir. We earned that whiskey. You all got that correct with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Well done. Give me a moment to catch up on my scoring. I don't want to fuck this up.
It's easy to fuck it up. I feel like I do it every time I'm in charge of a game.
Yeah.
I feel like I did it last week.
I'm a big fan of the tallies.
Yeah, you ever think about that, Chris? Like keeping track?
Yeah,
That's what I do. I don't have a pad of paper near me, so I'm doing it in like a note, like notes.
you can do X's and O's.
Oh, I literally use a clipboard with like prison days. But it's still easy to get fucked up.
And you all got that correct, I believe, at the end.
So I don't think we have a clear leader yet. I think
It's
John Mark
really
and I are
close.
tied.
It looks like Lyle has 5 points. I think he got every single one in that last one right. I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. I missed one that John Mark got. So he's in.
Yeah. John Mark has 2, 4,
Although he
5,
missed.
6 points, and you have 7 points, Ron.
All right.
Wait, let me double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So you're in the lead right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Right
John Mark has
now.
6. Lyle has 5. It's really close. So anyone's game still. Okay, let's get to the second half of this. Bow, bow, bow. Okay, 11. A teenage. One more time. A teenage girl wears tight leather pants and learns to smoke to win her boyfriend back. A teenage girl wears tight leather pants and learns to smoke to get her boyfriend back.
Wow.
I'm shocked that I don't see dots from you, Ron. Shocked.
A teenage girl learns to smoke?
I have no idea.
A teenage girl learns to smoke and wears tight leather pants to get her boyfriend back.
Do we get
Second round of hints? Sure.
Yes.
I'm giving it all to you guys. You all get one more round of hints for the second half.
I vote. Well, for mine, I'm gonna take. I'll take a letter. First letter.
Oh, you wanna use it for this one?
I want to use it for this one, but you made it seem like this is something I should know. So I feel like this might funnel me in the right direction.
Okay. One more time. A teenage girl wears tight leather pants and learns to smoke to win her boyfriend back. First letter of the film is G.
Teenage girl learns to smoke and
I have
wears
no answers
leather.
from any of you yet, and I'm shocked. This was the one everyone else got right when I read it.
I got no fucking
What the
guess.
fuck, man?
I have zero guess.
And
this is one that everyone else got right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and assume you're all gonna pass because some time has
Yeah,
has
I'm
gone
passing.
by.
Yeah, we
Okay,
gotta keep
yeah.
the show going. There should be a
Okay.
time limit.
I'm calling it. I've got no answers from y'all. The answer was Grease.
Oh, you
Oh,
know,
geez.
that's not a
What?
movie
Okay.
that's... I honestly don't think I've ever watched
What?
Grease from start
Oh
to
my
finish.
god! Like the end when Olivia Newton-John is in the fucking leather pants and smoking like a badass at the carnival. It's like
Yeah,
iconic.
I feel better about that. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah,
You know why
I
I
don't-
never saw
yeah.
that movie is because every drama kid that I grew up with would never shut the fuck up with those goddamn songs whenever they were in Grease. You know, drama kids. I'm friends with a lot of them, and they would be the first to agree. They never shut the fuck up. When they're in a production, all they do is get together at lunch. Hey, you're the one that I love. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And yeah, I don't know anything more than that. So, all
That's
right.
incredible. All right, cool. Hey, cool. All right, question 12. This one's an interesting one too. Try to follow along. Country girl has to choose between the guy who wants to control her life and the guy who wants to keep her hostage. The latter is marginally nicer, but the deciding factor is really his library.
Yeah,
One
I'm
more
going to
time.
need that again. And poor
Yeah.
Logan back there.
You hear him?
The world is ending when a kid is upset. Yeah, I'm going to need that one back.
Okay. Country girl has to choose between. Sorry.
It's all right.
Well, that was a different octave, wasn't it?
Yeah, he really gets up there. Country girl has to choose between the guy who wants to control her life and the guy who wants to keep her hostage. The latter is marginally nicer, but the deciding factor is really his library.
Country girl. Library.
The deciding factor is really his library.
Fuck. Is this something I should know?
I
I
think all
think
these are
every-
something we should know,
Yeah,
but
it's just they're like riddles, you know. That's what it is.
Boy,
When they're
country girl.
Kind of. I don't know. I'm
Library.
just
Has
Kidnapping.
to choose between the guy who wants to control her life and the guy who wants to keep her hostage. The latter is marginally nicer, but the deciding factor is his library.
Oh, this is hurting my fucking brain.
Mhm.
yeah, same.
Especially after this week. I'm giving up.
Yeah, me too.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that's another thing I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
that
Oh my
story.
God! What
I'm not
the-
really sure
I don't
about
know
that either.
Wow,
I-
this is
I
suspect,
guess
you
it's
guys.
Johnny.
Both y'all spies.
I guess it's Johnny because in the movie, you know, he kind of kept his wife trapped up in the, you know, and there's a library involved.
That's one of those Disney movies
That's
I
a good
never really
guess.
saw, and I never
Kinda
watched that
passed me
show.
by.
So, you know, all right.
Wow. Okay.
I feel
kinda
better
watched
when
the
they're
TV
movies I
show a little
literally
bit.
never saw.
Linda Hamilton, right? But that was like
I remember
totally
that,
different
yeah, with
thing.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, 13. There's a tornado. Nope. 13. I know Ron will edit it, and I'll sound great.
Sure.
He would never leave me hanging like that.
Oh, never.
13. There's a tornado, and then a farm girl drops acid.
Okay. Now we're talking. I'm giving you the short versions, but you know.
There's a tornado, and then a farm girl drops acid.
That's a good one. That's a good. I like this game. It'd be fun to do it from the other end to create them.
Yeah. Okay, you all got that right with Wizard of Oz. Boom.
Damn.
Right back
We're
in it.
either all missing or all getting.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be
Okay.
something to decide here soon.
Here's one. 14. Grumpy emo chick ponders whether to shag a corpse or a dog over several years.
Wow.
Grumpy emo chick ponders whether to shag a corpse or a dog over several years.
That sounds like some fiction that I need to write. That sounds like something that what's her kisser? We had her on the show, the old show. We need to get her back on the show.
Who?
The Sasquatch.
What's her name? Come for Bigfoot.
Number Bigfoot.
Virginia Wade?
Virginia Wade. Oh no, Virginia Wade.
It's Virginia
She might be
Wade.
writing books that my mom is reading now, which is amazing.
You should slip her a Come for Bigfoot. Be like, you like Virginia Wade? Have you read her other stuff?
Come for the Bigfoot, stay for the Lord.
Mhm.
Oh, dear.
I got it.
Lyle guessed Underworld, which was sorry.
I got it.
Jump. Okay. Yeah, I got John Marks and Ron's were correct with Twilight, and Lyle guessed Underworld. That was a really good guess.
I
That's
hate
fucking
that.
very very
John
similar.
Mark just barely got it because I almost beat him on that one.
Well, I guessed Twilight earlier. in the
You
show.
did.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, I almost missed that one.
Well, in Underworld, she actually has a romantic affair with
That's a good guess.
Wolf,
Yeah,
dog.
Yeah.
yeah.
She
That's a
does.
good guess.
Lycan. I think they call him Lycan.
Lycanthropes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, 15. Group spends over 9 hours returning unwanted jewelry. Group spends over 9 hours returning unwanted jewelry.
9 hours.
Group spends over 9 hours returning unwanted jewelry.
Unwanted jewelry.
Unwanted jewelry.
I've got John Mark's answer.
Is it right?
I'm not going to tell you.
Damn it. I don't know why I think that would help me.
I can hear the desperation in your voice.
Group
Is it right?
spends 9 hours returning unwanted jewelry.
Yeah.
God, I gotta. Fuck. Total fucking guess. I gotta guess
Ron
something.
guesses Dark Crystal. Lyle passed, and John Mark answered correctly with The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, for fuck's sake. 9 hours.
And it was only fucking one piece of jewelry.
It's still considered
Yeah,
jewelry.
he just
You
said
can call it
unwanted jewelry.
Well, that's singular versus.
No, you can say a ring.
Jewelry is
and
jewelry. Yeah, you don't say
is
jewelry.
Singular and plural.
I'm just angry I didn't fucking think of it.
It's fair. That part is fair.
All right,
That's
let me do
good.
another quick. Since
Fuck.
we're at 15,
I think we're tied now.
Well, you see, you missed the
Unless
first
John
two,
Mark took the lead.
and then you. Let's see. Yeah, John, I believe you're right. Let's see. So you all got 2 points. Boop boop boop. I'm doing this.
I feel like I
wrong.
would do so much better with this listening than the pressure of playing.
That's how it is on Name That Shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like you're both tied at 9 currently, and Lyle's at 7. Anything could happen still.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're at least above the average that you polled. I don't
Yeah,
know
for
why.
sure.
That's the one thing I'm holding on to.
To be fair, though, you have gotten hints.
Yeah,
Not
you've
that that's
given
been
us some
extremely-
pretty
Not that
pretty
that's been
generous
extremely
hints.
helpful. The hints have not been helping you much. I think almost the genre might be better than the first
You
letter.
think? Okay.
I do, because
I don't know either. Neither one has seemed to help me. You've gotten the hints, so
yeah, that's true.
Well, what would you have
Okay.
said for The Lion King, for example? What would you have said for the genre?
Animated or family.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a big one on that one.
I think
Like,
that's another one
you know-
that I don't actually remember watching that all the way through. I'm sure I must have, but I don't recall like
Lion
purposely
King?
watching that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
if I had, like
you
if
should
you would
watch
ask for
it.
it
It's
on
a-
Grease and I said musical, do you think musical would have helped you get to Grease?
Probably.
Yes, I think it would have.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you may
Yeah,
be
that's
right. You might be right.
All right, y'all get a fresh hint for the last 5.
Yeah, we may need it. All right, but we're almost
All
done.
right.
We'll see.
We are. Yeah, 5 left here. All right, 16. Everyone tries the ice bucket challenge.
Oh, God.
Everyone tries. the
Everyone
ice bucket
tries the
challenge.
ice bucket challenge.
Genre hint.
This is tough. I
Drama.
would call this. It's gonna be. It's really a love story. Period piece.
Okay.
Fiction,
Yeah.
non-fiction, but with some fiction.
Yeah. Well, you're right. That helped me.
Yeah,
I'm
not
sure it helped
if
the others.
I got the answer from Lyle and the answer from Ron, and they're both correct.
Never would have got it without that hint.
No,
That you can be sure of.
John Mark.
that was a good Irish. That's that
Well,
whiskey.
Thank you. It is Irish.
I'm taking you out here in 5 seconds, bro. 5.
Yeah,
Four.
I got nothing.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
the answer was Titanic.
Blunk.
Everyone
boy.
tries the ice bucket challenge.
Mhm.
This is my favorite of the list. 17.
So fucking. That's so wrong. 'Cause those were real people
So
to
wrong.
some degree. Mhm.
A wisecracking boiler technician teaches high school students to believe in their dreams. A wisecracking boiler technician teaches high school students to believe in their dreams.
No, that's brilliant.
Mhm.
I've got all of you got it correct, and I'm so happy with Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Boom, boom, boom.
I actually watched those. I have those on DVD, and I actually watched them a while back, and it was different.
There
It was
are,
nice.
there are some that I never saw in the later canon, and I thought about starting from scratch. I remember watching the original one not too long ago, and it was so dated, and
Oh, it is.
It was
but
hard.
It's like
it was hard to
It's
get
Still
into.
pretty good though.
Is it?
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I remember the Johnny Depp. That was one of the more disturbing scenes that I remembered when I was younger watching it.
I remember when I saw
The
that movie,
waterbed.
when, like basically when it first came out, it was like fucking terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
I picked
troubling.
box set, and I can't remember where I found it, but I found a box set, and I think it was like the first 4 or 5, maybe 6 episodes,
Hmm.
all together in a box set. But yeah, a lot of people don't remember the TV series. It was
Yeah.
only around for a little while, and it was on like a Friday or Saturday night, because I remember I'd go get like Domino's pizza off of Grant Road, and I'd come back and be chilling on pizza, watching it.
Pizza and Murder by Pizza Face. You remember the Friday the 13th TV series back in the 80s? Had nothing to do with the movies. It was like a Twilight Zone, but
Right.
more gory. Some of those tormented me. There's one where I remember one where a guy made tattoos on people and they came to life and killed them. And I remember there's one where he did a scorpion on a girl's thigh, and the scorpion came to life and like crawled up her back and like stung her in the spine. And I remember like white shit coming out of her mouth, and she died. She died.
She did.
She died now. Okay, 8.
Watch the real quick. I just like to go watch the old. We talked about it earlier, a couple episodes ago. The what was it? The Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, Tales from the
Peep
Crypt.
show.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt. That's some cool ones.
Yeah, those
I
are
remember
those are fucking great.
the swamp creature one where they swim out to the dock and they.
Oh, that is Creep Show. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was called The Raft. That one tormented me when I was a kid too. That's another one that I went back and watched and was like, I can't believe that fucking rubber looking monster scared me so much. But it's like that one scene where the girl falls into it and it's like this little tar monster and she comes up and she's like half dissolved and she's like, Rick, it hurts. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking horrifying. You can just imagine what it felt like to be like engulfed in this giant slime monster that's dissolving you until you're a skeleton.
There was a little spot down in Rock Island that had a little cove, and outside of that cove was a little dock, just like in that movie. And there was like algae all around it, so it was creepy to swim out there and stuff. But it was still exists.
That one's got a great ending that I shan't spoil. Okay.
Okay, 18. Divorced middle-aged man loses custody of his children and discovers he can profit from cross-dressing. Divorced middle-aged man loses custody of his children and discovers he can profit from cross-dressing. I have a wrong answer. I see some bubbles. You all got it correct with Mrs. Doubtfire. Look at you guys are killing this. Oh, you hear my typing?
Don't you hate it when you're fighting or arguing with somebody and you're just staring at the bubbles for like 10 minutes? You're like, Jesus Christ, what are you writing?
They stop for a bit.
Yeah,
and then they come back.
Like, and then it goes away and you don't ever get a response.
Yeah, and you're like, get fucked.
Like, what are you? But sometimes you just accidentally happen upon it. Like with Messenger, if you open up Messenger, not a specific message, but the whole stream of recent messengers or message, senders, and you'll just randomly see one like stop and then start. And you're like, oh, so-and-so sending me a message, but then they never do. Like, what the fuck was that about? I want to know what that top was.
A little jingle too.
Anxiety bubbles, we call them. All right, two more.
All right, 2 more. Yep. 19. A forgotten sociopathic child tries to murder 2 homeless men. A forgotten sociopathic child tries to murder 2 homeless men. I have Lyle's answer. I have John Mark's answer. Excuse me, Ron's answer. I don't have John Mark yet.
I'm not feeling strong about my answer.
A affected child tries to murder 2 homeless men.
Mm-hmm. 5, 4.
Sigh.
2, 1. Excuse me.
Oh.
Ron and Lyle got it correct. Home Alone.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't remember them being homeless.
Yeah. Look a little homeless.
Well, they sure looked it.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Lastly, a teenage boy's body starts changing, and he discovers he can shoot white, sticky liquid out of his body.
We end on a gimme. I think I might have won this.
We truly did with Spider-Man. Nice job, guys.
I think you did win it.
Let's do some
Either John Mark and I are tied, or I won it by 1.
I think you won it by 1, maybe 2.
Give me a sec. I'll find out. Talk amongst yourselves. Make up one, Ron.
Oh, that's a fun one. Yeah, let's all try to make up one real quick.
Pick a movie.
Boy, it's hard. Definitely hard on the fly.
Reservoir Dogs. What would that be?
Oh, God.
I have one.
Terrible people do terrible things and no one cares who wins.
Colors, enjoy robbing.
Remember when that was like one of the bloodiest films? That was so fucking violent when it came out. Pretty tame these days, but it's like everyone dies.
I got one.
The cop scene's tough to watch. Go ahead, Lyle.
Kid has bike and runs from the cops.
E.T.
Damn it, you're so good.
How about kid dies, adventure and great tunes abound?
Oh, Stand By Me.
You got it.
Oh, man.
Okay, so Lyle and John Mark tied with 12 points. And because Lyle did pretty good that
Tiebreaker.
time, but Ron did. Ron killed it with fucking 14 points. He got
Wow.
14 out of 20, man. That's incredible.
Wow.
To me, I would not have done that well. I thought these were tough, but you know, you did
We're a
get
bunch
the-
of nerds.
They
Yeah,
genuinely
well done.
hurt to think about. Like at one point, I felt pain coming from my brain.
I
Could
still
be
do.
pre-stroke. We'll see how the week turns out. Been a week.
Insane.
So TJ, the lovely TJ is
TJ.
gonna be I love it. This is a fucking all-star list of people for me that have won so far.
Well, you know what this means? We now have 3 winners, which means that next episode will be our championship.
Yes.
So we have, do we remember
Throwing all the
I don't know if I
marbles.
remember the former winners at the top of my head. Do you guys? I
Yeah, it
feel
was
like
Cheryl, and wasn't it Ben? Was it Ben? No, was it? I can't remember the first one. I'll have to go back and
we'll figure it out.
We'll sidebar on this, but I have some ideas about keeping track of this in the winner
Good.
spreadsheet.
A Google Docs would do it, but but anyway, the next episode we'll figure it out. We'll find out who,
Yeah.
and it'll be one of those just like these. As soon as I read it, it was like, oh, of course.
I can't remember who the first one was, but fuck.
I got one. Horse dies. No, horse dies. Princess cries.
Ooh, and it rhymes. Horse dies, princess cries.
Never ending story.
Never ending story.
God, you're so fucking good.
See, you might have done good with this, Chris. Cutting yourself shy. This would be fun to try to do to each other.
Yeah, we should.
And it
we
is
should
something you
write
do
some
to
beforehand.
someone. Yeah, for sure. Not, on the fly is especially. Wow. That's one of those dumb words. Don't exist. Espresso. Well, that was fun and an epic length episode. Well, tune in next week. We will be talking about 9/11 and having our Weird Trivia Championship round. This will be the first round where we play for a prize. We'll figure out what that prize is. Probably something on Amazon. And you're just going to fucking order and not have to worry about packing and shipping. So tune in for that. And thank you all for playing, and continue to do this until we come up with something else. On the episode that we post each week, comment. And this week, I would love your comment. I mean, comment on whatever you want to comment. But we'd love to know how you did with this game. We would also love to know what was the question going back? Oh, do you believe that women fart stinkier than men? I got a feeling that it's going to skew toward the men, but maybe I'm wrong. This goes back to your own life, personal experience. In the interest of all things equality, I think we have to welcome all genders, but you get the gist, right? Where we're coming from. Let us know. Do you find that anybody farts stinkier than anybody else, specifically based upon gender? How about we do that? That's a safe way to say it. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Don't give the ones that you love a Dutch oven, but it's not a bad way to break up with somebody.
If they ask for it.
Just to keep on Dutch ovening.
God, can you imagine? And then, first he told me he didn't love me, and then you'll never believe what he did.
That's a good way to figure out which one stinks worse, though.
Maybe that's the ultimate revenge. Is like you get in there, it's like, oh, that motherfucker just Dutch oven me. Just pull
Here's
those
how you
covers
gotta
up
do it.
another head, and then do your own Dutch oven.
You gotta take somebody of each sex, and they have to eat the same stuff, the same amount of time, and then you have to compare.
Oh boy, you're really getting scientific. All
Can
right,
you
guys.
imagine? Wait. Can you
Okay.
imagine somebody throwing the covers over you and giving you a Dutch oven, but when they start farting,
For
you just hear
science.
that for like fucking 90 seconds.
This angry butthole. Yeah.
Like you probably are like
Like,
a deer in
who-
headlights at that
where-
point, right? Like you can't move. You're just like, is this really happening?
Like, where did they even find a balloon? Who's stepping on my cat?
I can't scrape the fucking smell off my tongue fast enough.
Metallic. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank guys.
All right, y'all.
Have
Be
a good
sure to
time.
tune in to the Holly and Ron show. Christopher's
to
name
that.
came up quite a bit this first episode, and I do plan on some cross promotion. We'll have Holly on the show. We'll have you guys on the show at some point. There's no reason that this can't be a bit cross promotional.
One big happy family.
It'll naturally happen because
We'll
you guys know
share
Holly. I mean,
everything.
Holly's first podcasts
slept
were
in Holly's bed.
they were
I've
on
slept
this
in
show.
Holly's
You have
bed.
slept in Holly's bed. That's right. When it was actually Holly's bed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Holly slept in my bed when it was my bed. Think about that.
Oh.
Who's one up to
All
who? She may have been in my bed when you were. No, that was a different time. We'll explain more later. Till next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good night.